Hey, 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 everybody. Let's get this show on the road. All right. Put a little intro music while we wait for everybody to get in and start figuring this out here.
Okay, Boomer.
This is the nature of change. If you resist it,
Oh, no more coffee.
you have dukkha, you have frustration and suffering.
I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded. No. That's going to be a soundbite.
Hope you guys are ready to have some fun. Welcome back. All right, hold on. How are we gonna? So, anyways, all right. Yeah, I gotta work on that. I gotta smooth that out a little bit better. But anyways, so that was the old intro music to the old podcast that me and my friend used to do way back in the day. Kind of crazy how long it's been already. I think we started that like in 2020. Went on for a few years. We changed the name of the podcast multiple times. We did so much to try to make a better product, only to simply realize that, you know, the show sucked. You know what I mean? And so that's basically why nobody was watching it except just a few friends. But, you know, it's the truth, you know. But, you know, come full circle to where we are now. You know, now we got a better show, better content. Again, this is only episode numero tres, number 3. And so far, so good. So in today's episode, you know, we're going to be talking about, well, guess what? Being boring is all the rage these days. What do I mean by that? Well, you know, again, that's what you guys are tuning in. We're hanging out, going to have some fun. You know, by the way, this channel, the content I create here is pure comedy, and it's not for the faint of heart. You know, well, I don't think any of my content is for the faint of heart, but you know, we're trying to focus on laughs out here more than anything else, which I know, you know, there's a bunch of people out there that just don't want to laugh, you know, and they rather just, I don't know, fight or do whatever it is that they do over there. I don't know. I don't concern myself with any of that stuff. I concern myself with other things, as you guys already know. So the reason I'm making today's video is just, or we're talking about today's subject more than anything else, is, you know what, by the way, this is still a work in progress. So as I'm kind of going through all this, I'm starting to realize, okay, wait a minute, you know, we're doing something different here. You know, it's not what I used to do on the other show, you know, on the travel channel. You know, basically we're just here and talking about my thoughts. You know, my thoughts on XYZ subject, okay? And, you know, please, the reason we're doing this live is so that, you know, you guys can also chime in. By the way, I got some new sound effects here. Let me see. Where is it? Okay, there we go.
I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
So, you know, but why we're doing this live is because I just feel more comfortable, you know, doing something live as opposed to a recorded thing. You know, if I'm doing something recorded, let's say I were to do this show recorded, I can't just go off on my tangents like I normally do. I would be too critical of myself. I'd be self-editing and wanting to edit, and, you know, this is a whole thing. But if I'm live, you know, I almost feel like you guys are right there in front of me. And I'm talking to the group. I'm talking to you guys out there in the audience. And so it makes it a lot easier for me. Even if it's just one person in the audience, well, it's like, well, there's one person out there listening. So I'm having a conversation as opposed to just talking to the microphone or just talking to myself, which I do plenty of already. As you guys already know, I'm not, you know, 100% correct up in the head. But, you know, how do I come up with what I'm going to be talking about, you know, during the show, you know, or the upcoming show? Well, you know, a lot of times I just kind of go through I don't know, whatever I see on the news or kind of what's going on, what is it like in the world at the moment and things like that. And then I just want to touch on those kind of things. Originally I was thinking, I can go through news articles, I can talk about the news, I can talk about what's really, really going on. But, again, I did that episode 1 and it was boring, all right? I'm not going to lie. I didn't like it. It wasn't, my cup of tea or cup of coffee, which, by the way, I ran out. I cannot have any more coffee today. I already had way too much coffee. Not enough coffee, all right? I feel tired today, but we got to still do what we got to do here. So, the topic of today's video, again, just like a lot of these live streams or these shows going forward on this channel, is going to be, just kind of like, again, my thoughts or, how I, look at certain things that are happening in the world at the moment. Because, again, I'm an American, born and raised in the USA, all right? And I, now happen to live out here in Mexico. And by living out here in Mexico and embracing, the culture of another country, wow, have I seen, really with my own 2 eyes, how absurd it is to be an American and the absurd life that we live out there. Where, again, you guys see the thumbnail and you guys can already kind of figure out what the subject matter is going to be here today. The fact where, again, out here in Mexico, being boring, what is it? Boring, what you might think as boring is not, considered, anything, I don't know. What is it? Anything that would trigger other individuals out there into getting upset. It's kind of like absurd, the idea that, someone from a very privileged background, because let's just say it, just being 100% honest, okay? And, anyone out there that is basically saying, hey, you cannot, farm. Hey, you cannot have, a family and kids. Hey, you cannot, have a traditional marriage or traditional lifestyle. The fact that, there's people out there that are on their high horse. Yeah, that's right. My horse is very high. You know how much weed this guy smokes? More than me. Anyways. So, all these people out there on their high horses, all right? High off all these edibles that they're eating. They're out there, basically saying, hey, the life that people have been living for a millennia since the beginning of time, that's no bueno. That's no good. How dare you? Blah, blah, blah. Patriarchy, matriarchy, whatever absurdity people come up with these days. To me, once you're living out here in Mexico, or if you travel to any other country out there, or if you just watch travel videos on YouTube, for example, you quickly see that, the rest of the world, still lives a very normal, traditional life, in whatever shape or form that is. And, in the USA or in the first world these days, it is faux pas. It is, bad. How do I say this? It's just no. What is it? Bad? What's the word I'm looking for? Please help me in the audience. My English not so good sometimes. But basically, it's like an insult if you say to someone out there, "Hey, I'm a single man. I'm a single male, and I would like, to have, a wife with kids and live a traditional lifestyle. Perhaps live in a small town. Perhaps do some farming." Perhaps do some hunting. Perhaps, whatever it is. And by the way, it doesn't have to be that extreme. You could say, hey, I want to have a family with kids, live in the city, have a regular job, whatever that job is, and be able to support a family and not have to be, making a certain amount of money or living a certain kind of lifestyle, for me to be accepted by the group. And, again, out here, and once you're outside of the USA and you get to experience other countries and see how they live and see how happy they are, because that's another thing. You notice, again, as an American, everyone is depressed. Again, I say American because I'm American. That's where I'm from. That's my background. But I know this goes, the same for, Canadians these days, a lot of Europeans out there. where, there's like this a war or attack, on just a traditional way of life. For example, when I see what's going on in Europe, where they're basically having a war on farming, on farmers. It's like, how do people not see the absurdity behind all that? I mean, really, it's beyond insane. The last time that, by the way, so a lot of people also out there, they get the misconception that a lot of these things that are happening right now, they've only happened right now. We're living in some crazy times. These things have never happened before. These people have never, picked up a history book apparently and don't know that, these things are pretty common and have been pretty common. So, for example, the last time that there was a war, okay, on, the patriarchy or a war on farming or whatever it is, it happened in China, during their cultural revolution or whatever it is, What do you think that was? Are you kidding me? People should, again, look into it. Again, I just say China because that's like, the most, obvious, right in your face kind of last time that this happened. But it's happened multiple times since then, and between then, before then, after then, which is now, and when they're going, when they're doing things like, literally having a war on farming, okay, or a war on cow farts. These people, that are riding around in their jets, riding around, and wasting, producing more pollution on their own than you will probably produce in a year, okay? And they're telling you that, it's your responsibility to save the earth by not eating meat, for example, or, having a war on cows or on farming. And it's like, what's wrong with you? If you go to the rest of the world, literally the rest of the world, let's say you go to China or India, have you seen the pollution problem over there? Have you seen how much they pollute the world? I mean, what is wrong with people, How do people eat this shit up? And so, you go to other parts of the world and you see that they pollute a lot more than the USA pollutes. In fact, if you kind of look at the numbers, the USA pollutes the least amount. Okay? If you're talking about racism, for example, again, the USA, as insane as things are right now, they're still one of the least racist countries in the world. If you don't believe me, go to Japan. Yeah, that's right. Or go to any other part of the world, all right? And you're going to see how quick they are with racism. Again, they're probably accepting of the white man, the tourist, the this or that. But like, for example, let's say you as a white man goes to Japan and you want to live out there in Japan, all right? And, everything seems to be going hunky-dory, all right? Until you start really like living out there, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, no, they don't really want me out here. And then, you do something crazy like say, oh, I don't know, I want to marry a Japanese woman. Okay, let's see how well that goes. And so that goes, with a lot of other countries out there. So in the USA, it's nothing like that at all. In fact, I don't know if you've seen the borders lately. You know what I mean? They're letting every immigrant on the planet in. Ellis Island times a million. Look, I don't know how many immigrants came through Ellis Island, back in, 100 years ago, during the last super mass immigration wave in the USA. But I'm sure that we have more coming in now. And, so the whole idea of like racism, you know what I mean? Like, again, even the people that don't want the immigrants, or this flood of immigrants in the USA, they're not saying, hey, look, we don't want immigrants. We just want them to do it like, I don't know, like every other immigrant, like legally. So, I mean, just the whole racism thing aside, okay? The USA, is not racist, okay, compared to many other countries out there. And not just that, but like, again, all these topics, people just refuse to get out of that bubble that they're in and see what's really going on in the rest of the world. Because again, just the whole thing that, okay, here in Europe, or here in the USA or Canada, we're gonna, save the world, by having electric vehicles, which again are powered by coal plants, or, we're going to kill all the cows, because there's too many cow farts. By the way, you fart a lot more. It doesn't matter. By the way, have you ever had, smelled a fart from one of these vegetarians or vegans? Yeah, anyways, really stinky, all right? So anyways, your farts are a lot worse than cow farts, okay? And yeah, that's the next thing, all right? They're going to want to extinct your ass, all right? So, but all I'm saying is that, when it comes to pollution, for example, it's like, why those only a few people out there, a small group of people out there are the ones that have to be in charge, for fixing this, and not, again, not the rest of the world. Why is nobody, talking about the rest of the world's pollution problem, for example, or again, the whole war on farming. Have you guys ever been to Africa? Have you guys ever been to the Middle East? Have you guys ever been to Asia? Have you guys ever been to Latin America? All these people that are farming all over the world and, again, eating their cows and eating all their animals. I mean, what? By the way, you go and talk to them about any of this stuff, and they're going to laugh in your face. And they're going to laugh in your face. I mean, seriously. And the fact that not only are these things going on, but they're encouraged. And I mean, and again, forced upon you, like a carbon tax. Are you serious right now? What the hell is wrong with people out there? So anyways. So that's why these days, in today's world, if you say, hey, I just want to remove myself from the insanity and live a normal life, a quiet, normal life. All of a sudden now, everyone wants to rage against you, call you racist, call you inhumane, call you part of the patriarchy or the problem or the privileged or the this, which, by the way, again, like I said, the privileged are the ones that are, but who are the privileged? Look, anyone that has an opinion like saying, hey, you cannot eat or farm or live a normal life because you're hurting the planet. Listen, that's already a privileged idea or mentality. Like, are you kidding me right now? Again, go to any other part of the world, the developing world, the third world, okay, and tell those people out there, that they can't farm anymore, or tell them that they can't, have their, their farm animals anymore, okay, or that they can't, start a fire so that they can cook, okay, or they can heat themselves. Go on ahead and do that. So again, it's a privileged, idea and thought that comes from privileged people out there, thinking that, by the way, how I know I'm getting too ahead of myself here. But anyways, thinking that they can fix the problem by taxing you or by telling you, what they what you should be doing. When, I mean, it's the most absurd thing to me in the world where, again, right now, look at just the U.S. alone. Look at how much money they're sending to all these other countries abroad, okay? And they're not fixing the problems in their own country, okay? And on top of that, they want to tax you even more, okay? And they can't, they can't even fix the. Sorry, I got a little distracted there with something there. Let me get a little breath of water here, a little drink of water and a breath, because I've kind of been going on there for a second, but. I gotta start learning to pace myself a little bit more. But the absurdity of what's really kind of going on with all this stuff out there. So, shout out to Baron Von Crunch. Sorry, 1 second. Shout out to Baron Von Crunch. I see the $10 super chat in the Cash App. By the way, this is a very brand new channel. I still don't have the ability for you guys to send me super chats here or purchase things here or anything like that. So, hopefully soon, the more viewers we get, the more watch hours we get, the more the channel grows. That's when YouTube allows me to monetize the channel. So we're getting there slowly but surely. But in the meantime, shout out to everyone out there that is helping support the show in every which way possible. So shout out to Baron Von Crunch, for sending me the $10 Cash App. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's kind of nuts. I mean, so like, by the way, so, your tax dollars, they can't solve, the problems in your own backyard or front yard or whatever yard, side yard, whatever. They can't fix those problems, but, they're going to fix the world, right? They're going to, give you a carbon tax so that, they can, I mean, this is just laughable. Anyways, this carbon tax is going to help, save the planet. How? How are you going to save the planet? In what way? Explain yourself, please. You know how like in school, when you write, when you're doing a math problem and you just kind of write the answer and the teacher's like, no, you need to show your work. Okay, same thing. That's what we should be telling all these people, all these politicians or all these unelected people out there. Hey, can you please show your work, please? Let us know how this is going to really help. By the way, one of the beautiful things about living in Mexico or living abroad is that I finally get to see my tax dollars at work. Because again, as an American citizen, doesn't matter where I live. I can be living on Mars or in the moon. I still got to pay taxes, no matter what. Okay. So with that being said, as an American citizen in the USA, I never really got to see my tax dollars at work, unfortunately. But guess what? Out here in Mexico, are you kidding me? I see my tax dollars at work all the time because, a lot of the construction that they're doing out here, a lot of the, infrastructure, building, a lot of the things that they're doing out here, all right, that's coming from, the Mexican government per se. Listen, that's U.S. tax money. And this is not me saying it. This is not me saying it at all. The American consulate, was interviewed not too long ago. And they were talking about it. So, again, American representatives, that are out here at the American embassy, American consulate, they're basically saying, oh, yeah, we're investing a lot of money out here in Mexico. And we already know that, America is investing a lot of money around the world and helping many countries out there. Ukraine, and so many other countries out there which will remain nameless at the moment, okay, for obvious reasons. But, the point I'm making is that, Mexico is one of those countries. So, again, I love living out here in Mexico because as an American citizen abroad, well, guess what? I actually get to see my tax dollars at work. We got fancy trains, the roads are getting fixed, fancy, electric buses, and I can go on and on and on, Great. It's wonderful. Where in the USA, the roads are falling apart. They got to have like Domino's Pizza, basically filling potholes in neighborhoods because their own vehicles, as they're delivering pizzas, are getting, abused. What is it? Are getting, wasting away because of all the potholes. So, places like Domino's Pizza, has to invest in their own infrastructure out of their own pocket. Thank God that in the USA, everything's a write-off. So, that's another story for another day. But, shout out to Domino's Pizza out there and so many other entities out there that, again, they've had to, pick up the shovel themselves and do the work themselves because, well, our government's too busy doing other things. It is what it is. I'm not a genius out here. But like I said, in today's world and like in the USA, for example, the first world, it is frowned upon, to do something like, I don't know, become a farmer. Or, I don't know, grow your own vegetables, even if you're living in an apartment. So that's another thing, too. Out here in Mexico, look, I happen to live in a city that just happens to be in the middle of nowhere. So, they got farms out here and people grow, and, they got bigger areas to grow in. But I've been to cities like Oaxaca City, or Mexico City or whatever. And, even people there, they might have a small apartment with a small balcony. And they grow their own things, They have like a bunch of little plants, where they grow their chilies or their basil or their oregano or their thyme or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Whatever they're growing, And tomatoes, all these things. So they know how to grow things, In fact, a lot of times, it's almost frowned upon when you don't know how to do these things or don't know how to have the basic survival skills, just grow a few plants. So let me check out the chat right here. It says, Tanya says, don't talk about the roads and the bridges. Again, that's insane to me. The fact that, again, where you right now, if you even question any of this stuff, that's going on, you're looked at as, the bad guy, as racist, as, unsympathetic, how dare you, right? Where's where's Greta? We got Greta out here. Where is it? Did I lose Greta's I had all these sound effects here. Oh, there it is.
How dare you?
Anyways. But yeah, to me it is kind of insane, and like, I remember, living in the USA and living in the insanity. It's almost kind of like, it's hard to really, see that you're in an insane asylum with a bunch of other insane inmates insane wardens, taking care of the insane asylum because you're in it and that's all you know. And if you're always been told that the USA or Canada or whatever is like the greatest country in the world and everything's awesome and the best and yada yada yada. So no matter how bad it gets, you never in a million years ever think about other countries, in the sense of like, well, if it's bad here, it has to be worse over there. But again, not just my channel where I live in Mexico and tell you guys about how it is to live in Mexico, but again, we had that Tucker Carlson guy. He was just in Russia the other day, and he interviewing Mr. Putin. And not just interviewing Mr. Putin, but, he made some videos about where, he was just walking around Russia. He went, by the way, you can find all this on YouTube, where there's plenty of YouTubers out there, okay? They live in all over the world. Okay, it doesn't have to be expats or immigrants like me or foreigners. No, listen. Before even the Ukraine situation war, I followed some YouTubers that were Ukrainian, living in Ukraine. Okay, and doing all of that, and they're living a normal life. But anyways, long story short, when you watch other YouTubers and you watch other content from all over the world, you quickly see, what he was showing you. That again, people were losing their minds over the fact that, like, oh, look at that, they got a clean train system. Oh, look at this, they got grocery stores. Oh, look, the economy is not falling apart. Oh, look, the streets are clean. There's no bums on the street. Oh, look at this. You know what I mean? Like everything is orderly and no one's going, again, having crazy crime. Look, that's another thing I get about living out here in Mexico. Everyone's always talking about how dangerous Mexico is and how dangerous things are, and that the cartel is gonna steal your stuff. Listen, the cartel does not give a fuck, okay, about your stupid Social Security, all right, or whatever it is that you got. Are you kidding me? Do you know how powerful they are and the things that they actually do out here, or what they actually do, and not just here. Again. We're talking about, any other entity that's similar to that in any other part of the world. For the most part, listen, they got more important things to do and bigger fish to fry. And again, they see what's going on in the USA, okay? Just like you're seeing it. And they know for the most part that, typical American these days is just a broke-ass bum. You know what I mean? What the hell? You know what I mean? Are you kidding me? Steal what? Like I said, what are they going to steal? Your Social Security, or whatever it is that they're going to steal from you? Like, no, they don't care. They're busy, setting up businesses and building empires, okay? And doing all kinds of other things. when they're fighting with each other, for example, they're just fighting with each other just like corporate entities are or politicians are, over territory, over, over, hey, I want to sell my drugs here. And by the way, I mean like pharmacies, okay? Or my grocery stores, or my whatever business, okay? My hotel, my this, my that, okay? That's what they're concerned about. Their battle is more capitalism, okay? It's a capitalism. They're not, kidnapping, some random, dumbass, tourist, to see if they can call their family, in Germany, to see if they can get a few bucks sent to them. You kidding me? Are you kidding me? They want, listen, they have more luck, okay, bringing, immigrants, okay, all the way from the bottom, all the way to the top, all right? They make a lot more money doing that. They make a lot more money, like I said, having a traditional business. They make a lot more money, doing other things, okay? As opposed to, giving a crap about you. And again, it's not just here. In many countries that run very similarly, all right? We can go to El Salvador, the El Salvador, which was like the most dangerous country in Latin America. Guess what? It's one of the safest countries in Latin America right now. In fact, I don't want to say the safest, but it's up there, okay? And what did they do? I don't know. They just had some radical guy go in there and clean house. All right? What did he do? Oh, he went after the criminals. Oh my God, what a crazy thought. Again, all these boring things, are now, bad. In the USA, it's like, oh, we can't arrest, these people that are stealing, from CVS and Walgreens because, oh, the poor people. Oh, you know what we should do? We should open up more drug centers and give them even more drugs so we can have even more drug addicts on the street. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding? If you want to be a drug addict in Mexico, you know what you got to do? Get a job. You got to get a job, okay? And you got to get some money, all right? So you can go buy your drugs and become a piece of shit, okay? You know, in the USA, it's like, no, or Canada or any of these countries, no, you want to be a piece of shit, no problem. The state will pay for you for that, you know? And so, you know, it's just, you know, and again, you want to be boring, you know, meaning, hey, you just want to get a job, you know, live a normal life, you know, do your normal thing. Oh, no, you know, that's, they're going to rage against you. They're going to go, Ree! How dare you? How dare you want to do that? And believe it or not, even if you do want to live that life, you know, just live a normal, regular life, well, guess what? You know what I mean? You guys already probably know that, again, if you go out there and you get a regular job and you do the regular lifestyle and you do all this stuff, you're going to get paid, you know, let's say $80,000, okay? Probably not that much, but whatever. Anyways, $60,000, right? And then if you subsequently stay home, get your government check, go through all the government programs, ask for all the handouts possible, yada yada yada, you're probably making the same thing. And by the way, don't listen to me on this. You can, you know, all the stats are out there, and that's a reality of it, okay? And so it's such a completely different system. So all of a sudden, it's like if you're not, you know, doing that, then you're the bad guy. You know, it's like, how dare you telling people to go work? How dare you, you know, are you telling people to, you know, have morals, you know, and have discipline? Again, you know, that's the craziest thing to me too, where, you know, it's looked down upon when all of a sudden you want to work out, when you want to, you know, be healthy, when you want to actually take care of, you know, yourself. You know, all that is looked at as selfish and bad and, you know, borderline illegal sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, how dare you, you know, want to do these things? But yeah, you know, to me, it's like, it is kind of crazy, you know, like how what's going on with the U.S. empire and again, not just the U.S. empire, again, the first world. You know, when a lot of people would, you know, when the whole Great Reset, you know, was going on and those people were out there, you know, spewing their thing and people were losing their mind, I was cracking up. I was laughing my ass off. I was like, bro, what the hell? Again, you know what I mean? There's a few countries out there that, you know, are going to, you know, they have no choice in the matter and they got to kind of go along with it. But again, if you travel the world, okay, and you go and see how the rest of the world works, you'll be like, yeah, no, there's no way in hell. It's impossible for them to implement any of this stuff at all. At all. Listen, one of the channels that I like to watch a lot with my wife is Mark Weeds. Mark Weeds is just a food blogger guy. You know, him and his family, you know, him, his child, and his wife, you know, basically go around the world eating food. All right. His motto is, I live for food or something like that. Anyway, I travel for food, whatever. Okay? Food. I love food. I'm a fat guy, all right? But long story short, we love that channel because it's not just about, you know, the entertainment value from him, but like right now, to give you an example, you know, right now this guy, you know, he's doing videos in Morocco and he's showing you Morocco and you get to really see how people live there. And it's like, man, this has not changed in a millennia. Like literally, it's been like 800 years of the same thing. And it looks exactly the same and it's awesome. And you see all the people living, okay, as if they're stuck in time, you know, in another part, you know, like it's like a time capsule. But it's happening right now. And it's not just there, it's all over the place. Again, where I live right now, all I got to do is just go outside the city, go to a village. And by the way, if you watch my other channel, you know, my travel channel, you'll get to see more of that. But yeah, anyways, you can just go to the village and you see these people that are like, what Great Reset? And then you tell them about the Great Reset and they're like, they're going to do what? How? To who? To you guys? Really? You guys are falling for that shit? I mean, that's really it. It's like, it's like, what, they're forcing you to eat crickets without being poor? Wait a minute, what, they're telling you can't farm? What? And you're not revolting? Really? What's wrong with you people? You know, that's the reaction. You go to any other part of the world and you tell them about these things and they'll laugh in your face. And if you try to even push any of that, listen, they'll eat you alive. All right? Just like you guys are eating crickets, you know, or chicken nuggets, you know, made out of plastic. All right? It is really insane. It really is insane, you know? You know, the fact, okay, you know, right now I just see Tanya saying they hate holistic medicine That's how our grandparents and great-grandparents cured things. They couldn't afford doctors. By the way, that's all exists out here. So remember in the, on the previous, remember on the live stream that I did a little earlier on the other channel, we were talking about health. I did not touch upon that. I did not touch on that fact or that situation there. But, the whole holistic medicine thing, that's still a thing everywhere on the planet. Again, when I'm watching the Morocco thing, and, everything that they eat is either, fermented or pickled or this or that, all these, techniques that are not just for preserving food, okay, but they're also very good for your gut biome. They're very good for your health, for you to maintain, a long, lifestyle. What is it like? Longevity with your life. Aging. Yada yada yada. You go to. Not once did I see a Coca-Cola. Not once did I see any kind of like sugary crap. Everything you wanted something sweet, honey. Okay, they had like 17,000 versions of honey. All right, when it comes to like medicine, well, again, everywhere you go, they're having tea. Not traditional tea. No. Listen, they get mint and oregano and all these herbs, and they make a tea out of that. And I mean, come on, I could go on and on. Just the way they live life and all this other stuff. So that whole lifestyle, it might be illegal because it is. Okay, they go after, they go after things like raw milk and holistic medicine harder in places like the U.S. than they would like fentanyl. Just straight up. Fentanyl and drugs and all. That's okay. Don't worry about. But let's not. Hey, you better not catch you with some raw milk. We better not catch you. Trying to practice any kind of holistic medicine or telling people out there to. And by the way, you know what I mean? Like, not only it's insane to the next level where even just talking about this triggers more things in the YouTube algorithm to demonetize a video, assuming it's monetized, than if I were to talk about other unsavory topics out there. Which is freaking nuts. But anyways, that's another story for another day. But yeah, long story short, you go to the rest of the world and they're making milk. I'm sorry, they're getting milk the traditional way, right out of the cow. They're making cheese, butter, all these things the way that they've always made them since millennia. Same thing as like, medicine. You got things that are wrong with you. The doctor's going to prescribe things, that are herbs and herbs related, teas, whatever, actual plants, actual medicine. It's not to say that they don't have modern medicine and, modern, techniques and pills and all. No, they got all that. They have everything. But 99% of the people would prefer, to, again, go the traditional route, the traditional medicine, Eastern medicine or whatever it is. And so, that's not, that's considered boring, that's considered, old, and by the way, so again, just going back to like what's happening in the world right now with the first world, again, we're living in an absurd moment in time right now where you go to the first world and they want to, no, they don't want to, they're doing it. They're erasing the past. Okay. By the way, I mean, again, going back to China, like the last time that something like that happened on a massive scale was China. Again, everybody knows China, and everybody knows ancient China and all the history of China. Again, I know most people don't know anything about the Qing dynasty or whatever. Who gives a crap? That's not what we're talking about here. But the fact that China's been around for millennia. Okay, for meaning I think millennia is 1,000 years, whatever. They've been around a long time, a lot of history, right? And guess what? At the turn of the century, when the Chinese Revolution, the whole Chinese Communist Party, when all that started taking hold and taking place, what was part of all that? Well, we got to get rid of the old. We got to erase the past. We got to erase, that whole whatever. Remember the Cultural Revolution. So, a lot of that is happening in the U.S. right now. It's just kind of nuts. People don't even see this. And why don't they see it? Well, because, they never picked up a book before. I talked to a typical Mexican about this, just a freaking taxi driver, and they know about this stuff. Why don't you? Why doesn't the rest of the modern first world know anything about any of this stuff, So, the reality is that it's right in front of everyone's faces, what's really going on, but it's like, most people just don't have access to it. Again, just going back to, China or North Korea or Russia or any of these countries, Mexico, like most people don't watch, mainstream news, in most countries around the world because they recognize that it's propaganda. The USA is one of the only countries, and again, Canada, the first world, they're the only places where they think that propaganda is not propaganda at all. In fact, they feel insulted when you say that regular news is propaganda. It's like, again, that exists all over the planet. It's just that, again, if you ask the typical Chinese person, or the typical, like I said, Latin American, person, what they think about, their own local news or their own national news, most of them will tell you to your face, like, oh yeah, I don't watch that stuff. That's propaganda. What, you watch it? I mean, that's it. That's what they're going to tell you. So it is pretty insane to me, like how, all this stuff is kind of happening. But anyways, when you look at the rest of the world, again, I was just talking about Morocco, but there's many countries on earth that are just like Morocco, and meaning that, hey, they are still living in the past. A boring life, oh, they're poor, they don't have anything. I'm doing little quotation marks in the air for anyone out there who's listening to me and not watching me, because by the way, for anyone out there that wants to listen to this show or any other show that I do and don't have the time to watch the video or interact or anything like that, I'm on Spotify as well. Okay, all the links are on the, on my page. Oops, sorry. Wait, what I do here? All right, hold on a second. What happened? Huh. Hold on a second. Yeah, why isn't this showing up? One second. Oh my god, yeah, I just want to show you guys here. Oh, there we go. Boom. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So you can just click here. It says one more link, and then you're going to see the Spotify. I'm going to put it in the description. Hold on a second. So if in case you guys want to just listen to me, all right, you guys can listen to me on Spotify. I also have an exclusive deal like Joe Rogan. All right, so.
Bruh.
Shout out to everyone out there. But yeah, anyways, when you kind of like see what's going on in the rest of the world, remember, the first world really just consists of, the USA, Canada, some countries in Europe, and that's about it. But if you go to the rest of the world, like, I mean, they're living in a completely different universe than you guys are living in. None of the things from like the Great Reset or this or that whatever is really affecting them at all. And for a lot of people that just don't know, that whole dystopian world, that you might see from like Blade Runner or the Hunger Games or whatever that is. Just go to China. You go to China and they are already living in that world, which is kind of nuts. You know what I mean? So it's already exists, and they're trying to bring it to the USA. But how are they going to bring, that whole level of dystopian future when, like I said, the roads in my own neighborhood here in Mexico are looking better than the roads in your own neighborhood. All right. In wherever, country, what is it like in whatever, HOA you're living in at the moment, But yeah, no, it is pretty insane. The more you kind of like educate yourself on what's really going on in the rest of the world, you're like, what are we doing? What's going on? Why is this happening? And so, look, I get it. I mean, for me, I know that those answers are not easy, and on top of that, there's really nothing you can do. That's the truth. Okay, look, the only thing that the U.S. or any one of these countries can, the U.S. or or Europe or Canada can do is to revolt. To have a revolution. Now, do you see that happening anytime soon? No, it's not going to happen. It's not happening. Now, you're kind of seeing a little bit of that in Europe, with the farmers kind of, fighting back. But is it working? No, it's not. So even if you do that, it's not going to work. So this is why me and so many other people out there are looking into getting the hell out of Dodge and just finding anywhere to live in. It doesn't have to be Mexico. Anywhere. You can go move to Antarctica. You're going to have a better chance of survival than you do in the USA these days, all right? Yeah, I know I'm being facetious and I'm just trying to be, a little funny here. Don't move to Antarctica, okay? But the point, move to Alaska. Probably better off in there anyway.
Bruh.
Anyways, the point I'm making is that, that's what you're seeing, like a giant, a giant wave of immigration, okay? Or immigration or whatever, a giant wave of people leaving the first world and they're moving to other, parts of the world. Okay. So a lot of Europeans are leaving Europe, in certain areas where they know that they can't fix anything or change anything. And they're just moving to, somewhere in the Middle East, somewhere in Africa, somewhere in Asia. For a lot of Americans, they're choosing to move down to Mexico, the Caribbean, Latin America, and so on and so forth. And again, just depending on where you are or depending on where you want to move to. But it's only if you want to live a boring lifestyle. Because if you want to continue living the same life that you're living, well, you're going to find yourself back where you're at. And you're not going to really, want to move. Again, a lot of people, that's why you're not going to see a revolution. You're not going to see any kind of like revolt or anything like that because people are too comfortable. That's just the reality of it. So again, if you want to, be a farmer, you want to be self-sufficient, you want to do any of these things, it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of effort on your part, which a lot of people just don't want to do and they're not going to do. And so they're just going to say, whatever. I'll just keep taking it up the ass. It is what it is. I mean, straight up, I'm sorry. By the way, on this channel, no censorship, okay? I'm just going to go off the rails, okay? It is what it is. But yeah, that's just the reality of it. And so a lot of people just would rather just keep taking it, with no Vaseline. I don't know what else to say. But again, if you want to have freedom, well, freedom is not free. Okay. You got to go out there and you got to earn it. You got to get it. You got to, fight for it. And, it might just be having to leave, your country. But again, just going to like any other country out there, most of the world out there, they're not subscribing to any of this, a new world government, NWO or, Great Reset or any of this stuff, because they're just not. Most countries are pretty sovereign, okay? And as, things get crazier and the U.S. empire is losing influence and power, whether it's, the dollar tanking or, they cannot enforce, their will on all these other countries around the world, whatever. You're going to start seeing that more countries, are becoming more sovereign. And so the more sovereign they become, well, guess what? The less likely, that anyone, like, again, from the Great Reset or NWO or whatever, any one of these people, these unelected officials, become, that are part of a group, that just, of rich people, they're not going to be able to just go to a country and tell people, what to do. Because again, yeah, I get it. They can come to a country and flip a government, take over the government, take over the whatever. But again, if you go to around the world and you see how things are done, people revolt and, they get the people in power and they lynch them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and so, it's just, it's a different world. Once you leave that bubble, of where you're at the moment, you quickly find out, oh, wait a minute. The reason that these people have more self-autonomy is because, well, they're constantly fighting off the defenders that are at the gates. They're constantly fighting back. They're constantly protecting that freedom. Okay, and that's the thing, like, and right now, that sound in today's world, where everybody's wearing a VR set and everybody's in the future and AI and blah blah blah. Again, going back to just a normal life of like, hey, I'm gonna, live on a farm, live in a village, live in a town, and just have my wife and kids, and just kind of live like the whole traditional life. Yeah, that's boring. That's boring compared to all the stuff that you can be living in the Matrix or whatever, right? But again, I mean, if you look at, a lot of modern games or a lot of escapes, again, you're putting on that VR headset or you're living that kind of life. What are people doing in these, virtual worlds? Yeah, they're farming. Yeah, they're living a traditional life and boring life. So, I mean, how crazy and absurd is it that you can do virtual farming, but you can't do regular farming? I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean... Bruh. And then again, of course, you go to the, again, like Mexico and a village, with farmers, and you tell people, yeah, the people in the USA, yeah, they don't farm, they don't grow their own plants or their own food, but they put on these headsets, okay, and they go to a virtual world, and then they farm in that world. It's like, how can you not laugh at this shit, man? I mean, and it's just, it's fucking insane, man. It really is just, another level of, like, what? So, ay. It really is kind of nuts, Oh, wait, hold on. We got Greta chiming in.
How dare you?
Oh, my God. Ay. The rest of the world right now is, or they're like, they're going like this.
How, Sway? Take a few steps back to go. You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers.
When you tell when you go to just any other, person that lives a regular life around the world, which is like 7 billion of them, they're more like, huh? Huh? Oh my God, bro.
So tell us, what's your dream job?
Darling, I've told you several times before, I have no dream job. I do not dream of labor.
It really is absurd. It really is clown world. I mean, I don't know what else to say. And, there is an escape. There is an escape, okay? But it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort. And, you got to, like, do it and figure it out. And if you can't do it in your own country, that means you got to get the hell out. And you got to do it before they don't let you out, okay? Because that's happening already. You already know this, okay? So you got to, like, if you really value your life, you value your freedom, you value all these things, and you're going to start, figuring out, how to start living a more boring life, okay? But the thing is, that's why you see a lot of the things that are going on today as well, because, they put an emphasis out there on, you not valuing your life, you not valuing, just life in general. I don't know what else to say. I mean, you come to, most countries around the world, like, again, Mexico, many countries in Latin America, Africa, Middle East, Asia. And you see people that are just living a humble life, but, they're very happy. They're very content. They're always, again, like partying or celebrating. They're working very hard. They got to go out there and they got to literally go and get the bacon. Unless you're Muslim, you don't eat pork. But, you got to go out there and literally go get that bacon, like literally. And then, come back and process it and work it and cook it and do all these things. And, a lot of people in today's world, they're like, that's like insane. But by the way, they won't do any of that. But again, they'll play a video game in the virtual world and they'll spend the whole day, doing the same thing. Whether they're mining for gold or whether they're, hunting animals, or whatever it is they're doing. I mean, it is kind of ridiculous, and insane that, people would rather do the virtual version of survival as opposed to learning how to actually survive and do it themselves. So. Joker's Wild is like, they really got Myanmar, Gaddafi. Ever seen those videos? Yeah, man. Yeah. I've seen it all. All right, I know it all. You know, yes, I am a know-it-all. All right, I'm a dumbass. No, but yeah, man. I mean, like, this is why I am making, these videos now. You know what I mean? This is why I released Jose Unleashed. You know, this channel. You know, this is why we're discussing this, because at this point, if you don't know what's going on, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? You're not going to survive. You're not going to survive, okay? I think at this point, everybody knows what's going on. Now, it's whether or not they want to admit it, or they want to, acknowledge it, or do something about it, and so on and so forth. So right now, look, honestly, what is it that we need in the first world for a change to happen? We need a revolution. Is that going to happen? No, it's not. No, it's not. So what's the best way that you can revolt against the system? Again, do the opposite of what they're telling you to do. And if you cannot do that, well, then you need to remove yourself from that situation and find somewhere where you can do that. Okay? That's it. That's the only way to survive. You're not going to fight the system on your own. You're not. You won't win. You won't succeed. Okay? Because even you've seen countries in Europe where you see all the farmers, they're revolting and fighting back. Are they having any success? No, they're not. Is anything changing? No, it's not. Are things getting worse? Yes, they are. Okay? So, yeah, anyways. So, I mean, that's just the reality of it. It's a sad reality of it. But, it doesn't have to be sad. I'm out here living my best life. I'll have, friends or family come to visit me out here, and they think I'm crazy because I live the way I live. But it's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? You guys are crazy for living, or for taking it, okay? You're out there complaining every single day about how miserable your life is, and you refuse to do something about it. So you're the crazy one in my book, in my eyes. But again, it's all in the eye of the beholder, right? You know what I mean? Again, people think I'm crazy. I think that those people are crazy themselves because they refuse to, keep taking it. And they think that if they, pay a carbon tax or they complain hard enough, that things are going to change. They're not. Again, you can protest all you want. You can revolt all you want. Nothing's going to change. You really, really, really got to bring on that change. It really is just, again, it's comical at this point because, like the old saying goes, if you're not laughing about it, you're crying about it. So again, out here, how about this? When I moved to Mexico 6 years ago, again, I already kind of knew what was going to happen, in one shape, form, or another. I've watched Alex Jones, a few times to know that the turning the frogs gay. And so with all that being said, I would always joke, oh yeah, I'm going to be out here in Mexico living in a hut, with my wife, kind of just living, the most rural version, of life that there exists. And while I do that, I get to I'm going to be watching the fireworks from far away. Because, the fireworks, they're looking over the horizon, looking at the USA. Seeing the fireworks. Anyways, I used to kind of jokingly talk about that and say that. But, now today's, fast forward to today, 6 years later, like, no, yeah, we're there. We're there. I am actually seeing the fireworks. I'm actually seeing, what's happening from over there. And it is kind of insane, to say the least, And I get it. I get why a lot of people, they feel helpless. They feel like they can't do anything about it. Because again, if you just try to emulate that lifestyle in the USA, you already know all the flack that you'll get just for wanting to live a normal life. And not just that, it's not even permitted, or it's not even financially feasible to live a normal, regular, humble life. You want to start a small business, you want to live, again, the way I live out here. It's just impossible these days. But when you go to the regular, when you go to any other part of the world, you see that most of the world lives that life. That life that you dream about actually exists in most of the world. The world is not just, your backyard. It's just the reality of it, So, Joker's Wild says, Rome fell when those that Rome depended upon walked away. Yeah, I mean, and by the way, when Rome fell, it was a very, very long process. It didn't just fall and the world changed. Now, so as the U.S. is falling, which is the new Roman Empire, it's going to be a while before, like the whole empire really falls, and is really, disseminated, and so on and so forth. And, the Roman Empire never really fell. It was just, again, rebuilt, in the USA. And now, the USA, now that whole idea is falling apart. But, again, the whole idea of freedom, all the values, the USA used to represent, they're exported. They have been exported. So that's why when you go to, around the world, you get to see people, that are living, again, like they're living in Morocco, for example, but they got cell phones, they got cameras, they got technology, they got TV, they got all the things that you have. Okay. But again, it's just like, that whole idea, of people refusing to, lower their standards, Again, and what do I mean by lower your standards? Again, like if you go to Morocco, you're not going to find the Starbucks anywhere. Maybe you'll find one or two, maybe in the whole country. But you're not really going to find the Starbucks, but you're going to find a gazillion, tea houses or a gazillion coffee houses, making real coffee, the way they've been making coffee for millennia. But a lot of people, they look at that and they're like, oh, that's, again, that is, I'm going backwards if I do something like that. I can't go backwards, But the reality is that, the way people are living today in today's first world, that's going backwards. That's really going backwards, okay? And if you look at, again, the way the most of the world lives, no, they're not going backwards at all. They never ever succumbed to these insanities that have happened multiple times in human history. This is nothing new. Again, you can just go study China. Okay, go study the last 100 years or 150 years of China. Okay, China. So you can see, all right, what you can expect, all right, as to what's to come. If you haven't already seen it, or if you can't still see it or know what's going on. So, let me see. JLD says we came out to Mexico in less than 2 weeks, and in less than 2 weeks we have a friend to go play darts and pool with instead of sitting on the couch watching TV. We came for freedom, food, and community. Yeah, that's the thing too. A lot of people in the USA or the first world, they can't even make friends. Everything is such a sterile lifestyle. Everything is so dystopian. And then, again, as soon as you just leave that, you're like, oh, wait a minute. People around the world live, they're very friendly. They're very nice. They're very community oriented and community based. Look, how about this? In Mexico, they had a revolution a little over 100 years ago. And believe it or not, it was a socialist communist revolution, which is, basically, how they set their government, okay? And their constitution and all this other stuff, right? Those that have visited or live in Mexico, is it communist? Is it socialist? No, it's not. It's anything but, okay? It is very capitalist. It is very free. Okay, a lot of freedom oriented, okay? And, it's just the complete opposite of a totalitarian government. In fact, the government has absolutely no power or very, very little power, okay, compared to the USA. The USA is a democracy. And by the way, what is the difference between a democracy and a republic? Because remember, the USA is supposed to be a republic. But all you ever hear about is a democracy. But what is the difference between a republic and a democracy? Well, in a republic, a certain group of individuals, that are have proven themselves in society are the only ones that get to really vote. In a democracy, everybody gets to vote. Lambo gets to vote. Everybody. By the way, don't forget to hit the likes, share, whatever. But anyways, everybody gets to vote. Even the village idiot, even the village drunk. Everybody does. Now, you guys know, do you think everybody's opinion should be heard in the sense of like, how do I say this? It should be validized, meaning, someone that refuses to get a job, someone that refuses to even take responsibility for themselves, someone that refuses to even take a shower or do what the basic necessities, the basic needs. Do you think that their opinion should be just as valid as someone that has worked very hard, build a business, supports a family, pays their taxes? I can go on. So anyways, but that you guys are probably not ready for that conversation, all right? So yeah, the reality is that in Mexico, it is what is the. By the way, I am not communist. I am Cuban. Okay, so don't be getting it twisted out there or whatever. Again, look at what I'm wearing. All right. So it's all about freedom and liberty for me. All right. Thank you very much. But just to get an idea as to like the kind of like the background, between like socialism, communism, whatever. It's more about the group, meaning about the community. It's about all that stuff. And so if you kind of go around the world, and especially if you go to small villages and all this other stuff, it's automatically the way that they govern themselves. Okay, it's just automatic. It's socialist, communist. It's that kind of system. What happens is that when you try to make that system into a national thing and make it like the whole country has to kind of do this, and then it's like, for example, in the USA where they have the federal laws and the federal system that kind of oversees everything, or in communist China or in other countries like that where they have like a totalitarian like kind of hold on how things are supposed to be, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. But when you keep it to like the small groups and everybody just basically, you got to all take care of yourselves, in the village, in the state, in the, in the city, in the state, and the regional areas, as opposed to just having like the whole government just make sure that, hey, it's exactly the same for everybody. Again, when you try to do it that way, it doesn't work. When you try to keep it into small groups, small whatever, it does work, okay? And why does it work? Well, again, this is the way it's always been done since forever, okay? You got to, again, pick up a book. You can see it for yourself and how all this really kind of, works or whatever. But, again, that's why, again, the whole idea of like big government, the whole idea of just totalitarian government or just a centralized governing body doesn't work. Again, and the only way that you can keep that working is to totalitarianism. Hammer. You got to force it upon the people because the people are not going to play ball. Okay? But why does it work in small groups? Well, because if you go to a village or a town or, just, a neighborhood or whatever, well, they know what works for them in their area. And if you don't like it, you can get out of there. Move to another neighborhood. Move to another town. Move to another spot. Okay? And that's the thing. So, in Mexico, like, by the way, what I was going to say is that at the end of the day, what it really boils down to is the people. The people. So the people themselves are the ones that have to, again, make sure that this system, stays in place. So if it goes too far off in a direction that the people don't want, well, they have to make sure to defend the system they got before it turns into something they don't want. Okay? But when you delegate all that responsibility to other individuals that are not going to have your interest in it, well, you see the dystopian fucking world that you guys are all living in right now. Why don't you see that in other countries around the world? Well, because they can't implement it. Because the people are sovereign enough to basically tell you, fuck off. We're going to do things how we've always done them. The end. Okay? There are, again, this is, I'm only speaking of Mexico because I live here. But again, this is all over the world. But like in Mexico, for example, there are places, there are towns and municipalities out there that are not governed by the national government, and they're not governed by the cartel. They're not governed by anybody. They govern themselves. Okay? And how do they keep that going? Well, you already know. Through force, meaning that they're keeping the outsiders out. Okay? But again, why are we in the mess that we're in today? In the first world, in the developed world? Well, it's because, people have gotten lazy and they want to just delegate all of this to other people because, well, we're civilized now. We don't, we can't be doing these things that all these, poor people are doing. Let them eat cake. Why can't they just get a frozen Duncan Hines, right? From, or why can't they just, all eat, some ice cream cake from, Carvel or whatever. or Dairy Queen, So anyways. But, there's an old saying that goes, the people deserve the government they, what is it? Oh, no, the people have the government they deserve. That's it. So if you fight for your freedom, then, well, you're going to have a free, environment to live in. When you don't fight for that freedom, well, you already know you're living in it. It's not fun, is it? So, it sucks, doesn't it? Huh? Am I going to feel sorry for you? No, I'm not. You know what I mean? And nobody does. Think about it. Think of all the damage that, for just the U.S. alone, think of all the damage that the U.S. has done around the world. Do you think any country around the world that has had their that has had the U.S. boot on their neck, do you think that any of these countries give a fuck about what's going on in the USA? No, they don't. Okay? And when you, as an American, travel, to any other part of the world, okay, and you're, again, complaining about whatever it is you're complaining about, do you think anybody gives a fuck? Or anyone wants to listen to your little violin? They don't. They laugh in your face. Okay? And the fact that, you out there, most people out there, and maybe not you guys in the audience, but you know what I'm saying, most people out there just have no ability, to take care of themselves, no ability to help contribute, positively to the community, no ability to again, hunt, fish, farm, support a family, again, change a tire on their car if they have to, cook. Again, what did we talk about in last week's live stream? Americans can't cook. Americans cannot cook. And we talked about that. We went in depth in that. This is all part of the same thing. That's part of survival. Why is it that the rest of the world can cook? Because they have to. They have to learn. Or they starve or they're going to eat crap all day, every day. Okay? So, anyways, let me read a few comments out there. Oh, Mike Maholi says, much wisdom. Thank you. Appreciate that. I guess I'm a modern day poor man's philosopher, right? If I was in Roman times, I would be philosophizing out there, right? Throwing out my philosophies. Philosophying, right? DB Goodman says, there's so much beauty around the world, no reason to get bogged down that we're miserable. Correct. Look, again, there's another YouTuber out there, Andrew something. I forget his name. Shout out to him. Love the guy. And Nomad Capitalist. And he says it all the time on the channel. Go where you're treated best. That's it. But again, you got to put in that effort too. The more money and power and influence you got, well, the less effort you got to put in. But if you're just a regular old schmo Joe like you and me out there, listen, you got to put in a lot more effort. So if you come to a foreign country and you're acting like an asshole, listen, you're not going to last very long out there, okay? You got to really, really be humble. And just know that everyone around you, they know how to survive and you don't. And are they going to give a fuck about you and your entitled ass when the shit hits the fan? They're not. Why? Well, because they got their own family to take care of. They got their own village to make sure there's okay. They got priorities, So, but yeah, you know what I mean. It's as simple as that. And by the way, like I'm trying to keep this channel, comedy based. Hopefully, you guys were able to laugh. I know I went off on a tangent. I sounded more like Alex Jones today or whatever. But hey, it is what it is. This is the content I used to make back in the day. Before I started making Mexico content, I used to do more shit like this, okay? And talk more things like this, So. Yeah, so anyways. I'm just reading some comments here. Sorry for the... Let me play a little music while I read some comments here real quick here. Shout out to everybody out there. A lot of people watching. I see there's more people watching every week. So shout out to all of you guys. I really hope you guys are enjoying the show. Let me see. Can I do a poll? Oh, I can. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you guys a question, right? Let me see.
This is the nature of change.
Bruh.
If you resist it, you have dukkha, you have frustration and suffering.
Bruh.
I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
So look, I see DB Goodman says, final step is getting out of the city itself before the hackers permanently turn off this grid here. Look, for example, I live in a city. 1 million people. Okay? A little bit over 1 million people, okay? Do you think that the city is going to be in panic, okay? The way that they would be in panic where you're at if the grid were to fall? No, they're not. They're not. Okay? Why? Well, because again, they got a strong community. Look, for example, sometimes it happens. The power goes out in the neighborhood. And the power goes on in the neighborhood, and it's going to be, a few hours before the truck comes out here and fixes the transformer or whatever it is. Transformers. Anyways, so, before that happens, before they're able to fix, Optimus Prime, they have to, what happens? Well, it's dark in your house, right? You're bored. You got nothing to do, so you just go outside. You might sit on your porch. You might walk around the neighborhood. You're talking to your neighbors. Everybody's without power. All of a sudden, you're making friends. All of a sudden, you're having a good time. Whatever. You're having a few beers. Throwing a barbecue. Or just talking. Just sitting there talking and waiting and killing time. Okay? And it's not just the power. It could be the internet. It could be whatever it is. Whatever issue. And most people are able to, again, just kind of go with the flow. And this is like in a lot of parts of the world, man. This is the truth. People are not losing their mind because their internet is down. People are not losing their mind and killing each other, just because there's not toilet paper at the store or the power went out or whatever it is. No. People are, again, they help each other out. Let's say there's an emergency, like an earthquake or a hurricane or whatever. Again, people are helping each other out. Like, hey, I got extra water here. Do you guys need water? Hey, John over there has a generator and he's offering for people to come over and charge up their phones over there or charge up their whatever. It's like, the only thing is like, hey, can anyone help John over there? Because he needs a little bit more gasoline to, keep the generator going so that we can help, keep the lights on, a few light bulbs here and there for the rest of the neighborhood. Oh, yeah, I got some gasoline. Oh, yeah, I just filled up my truck with gas right before, the hurricane hit. So don't worry, I'll see if I can siphon some gasoline out. And we're going to go over there and we're going to give some gasoline to John so that, again, we can all use the power source. And I can go on and on and on and on and on. All right? And so, of course things happen. But when you have a strong sense of community, when people take care of each other, when everybody's, being helpful instead of, demanding help, things are just, they flow very differently. And people, you know, there's just a very different situation. So, you know, if something were to happen like that out here, you know, the hackers take down the system in Mexico, you know, most people are going to be like, whatever. You know, oh, I hope they canceled my debt at the bank, you know. You know, shit like that. That's really more what they're going to be kind of like concerned with or thinking about, you know. So. Shout out to John out there for the $10. I see Baron Von Crunch send me $10 through Cash App, and John, no last name, also sent me $10 as well through PayPal. Shout out to both of you guys out there. Thank you very much. By the way, this channel is not monetized yet, so in the meantime, you know, we just got to go through the traditional way of, you know, supporting the show, or, you know, again, showing your gratitude or thanks for, you know, being entertained. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, let's look at the poll. 9 votes. Sees everybody is enjoying the live stream. All right, that's freaking great. Let's hear it. All right. But anyways, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed, you know, today's video and enjoys today's channel, because enjoys today's topic, because again, you know, all this is very important, you know, and I'm trying to be funny and comedic and laugh instead of cry, you know, all the things that are going on in the world. But you know, again, you know, you know, I see it every day out here, where I see, you know, there's all kinds of Americans that move out here, or Canadians or whatever, you know, there's all kinds of people that move out here to Mexico, and you know, the ones that survive, you know, are the ones that, you know, they're used to, you know, hardship. You know, they're used to eating, you know, cup of noodles and cut up hot dogs for dinner. You know, they're used to, you know, living a certain way or a certain lifestyle. And so living out here, you're living the dream. You know, you're living in comfort compared to, you know, where you might be living in the USA. But you know how many Americans I see, or how many Americans, you know, or Canadians are constantly complaining about life in Mexico, or they say that Mexico is too expensive. Man, those are the people, those are the first ones to die off. I don't know what else to say. You know, those are the, you know, I really, to me, the most insane thing in the world is when an American or a Canadian comes out to Mexico, okay, in which, again, you really only need like around $1,500 a month to live. And yet they come out here and they say, oh, I'm spending $4,000, or, you know, everything is so expensive. Or I can't survive, you know, because, you know, everything is so expensive. And I'm like, what kind of life are you living? What are you doing? What are you doing? You know? But yeah. Anyways, all right. I think we're going to start wrapping this up. You know, I'm going to kind of go through the chat, see what you guys have to say. By the way, you know, let's take this opportunity, you know, to, you know, interact a little bit. So please, if you have anything you want me to touch on real quick, any questions, anything kind of regarding everything I'm talking about here, you know, please let me know so we can kind of just talk about that real quick before we wrap this bad boy up. Joker's Wild says, I should create a channel and call it Working Class Woes. I thought you said Working Class Hoes. That also works, you know. Either way, where the American working class can come to vent and complain about the dystopian system we're living under. Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, Jokers. Look, look, I don't want to break it to you, but you know, complaining ain't gonna do shit. You gotta just do something about it. Okay? The end. Look, I used to be a complainer. You know, I was living in the USA constantly complaining, constantly, oh, woe is me, constantly, I can't change this or that. And then you know what I did? I changed it. I moved to Mexico. And then not only did I change it by moving to Mexico, but then living out here, and you get to see how people actually live, okay, in the rest of the world. And well, all of a sudden now, you know, it's not, no one's complaining out here. Everybody's doing. And you know, changing the people around you, changing your environment, changing your way of thinking. That's really the way. That's really the way to, you know, have a revolution, to rebel against the system. You know, is to not depend on the system. You know, complaining ain't gonna do shit. You know, do you think the people in power care? They don't. Spoiler alert, they don't. In fact, they prefer that you just sit there and complain and don't do anything about it. Okay? So, just FYI for anyone out there that's also thinking about the same thing there. El patrón de paisaje says, a los hombres mexicanos les encanta cuando se cobra la luz. Pueden beber su cerveza sin una novela en la televisión. Oh, cuando le cortan la luz. Okay, so he's basically saying Mexican men love when they don't pay the power bill and they cut the power off because, you know, they don't have to, watch the soap opera with their wife on TV and they can just sit there in peace and drink their beer. You see? It's a different way of thinking. Hey, I totally agree with you, bro. I'm not going to lie. You know, whenever things like that happen, you know, they happen from time to time. You know, very rarely. I know in some neighborhoods or some areas of Mexico it might happen a little bit more than others, but out here in this neighborhood, not so much. But they happen. But when they do happen, I'm not going to lie, man. I look at it more like a respite, you know, like an opportunity to sit back, smell the roses, enjoy. You know, again, everything is turned off. I can't work, you know, since most of my work is done online. So it forces me to just sit back and enjoy some quality time with the wife. You know, enjoy a beer. Smoke one, you know, smoke them if you got them, you know, talk to the neighbors or just sit in peace, you know, sit in my backyard and just, again, enjoy, you know, the nature, you know, play with my dog, whatever, you know, seriously. DB Goodman says, are there any small farmers in the suburb outskirts of Media? Yeah, everywhere. What? Oh, again, if you look, guys, this channel is not Mexico channel, okay? We were just talking about the subject we're talking about, but again, you want more information on that, talk more about that, go check out the other channel and talk about that. But, you know, yeah, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's just come out and do it, okay? That's it. There's a gazillion videos of people farming and living a rural life all over the world. You want to see that? They're all over the world. You know, how can you replicate that out here? It's easy. Just come out here, get a piece of land, get to work. That's it. By the way, shout out to you and shout out to everyone out there. I'm sorry if I'm a little harsh, you know, but it's just I'm just trying to give people a reality check out there, you know. It can be done. Of course it can be done. You know, that's how most people like kind of live and survive out here. And in the rest of the world. That's what we were talking about for like an hour and a half already. And again, you don't have to be a farmer. You know, you know, but yes, there's plenty of people that live that life out here. You know, there's plenty of people that have chickens or turkeys or animals in their yard. You know, and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like it's a way of life out here. It's more normal than you think in the rest of the world. Again, look, there's like 8 billion people in the world. And about, you know, 6.5 to 7 billion of them live that life. Okay? So all of these, you know, thoughts and ideas and problems that, you know, we have in the privileged part of the world is only a small percentage of the rest of the world. It's just the truth. All right? JLD says, I saw a jar of American pasta sauce in a fancy Mexican grocery store for $30. It doesn't have to be that expensive. You can just eat. So you can just do and eat all that exact same thing. Listen, you can make your own pasta sauce, or I don't know, not shop there. Listen, in my regular grocery store that's right by my house, they have Prego, they got Ragu, they got Hunt's, all those spaghetti sauces, and nobody is paying $30. Okay? Yes, this might be a little bit more expensive than what you're going to get in the USA, because again, it's an it's an import. But you know, $4 maybe for a jar of Ragu, you know, or a jar of Prego. Now, yeah, granted, you know, okay, so you know when you're in the U.S. grocery store, they got a small section for Hispanic foods or Latin foods. Okay, same thing here. In Mexico, they got small sections for American food or import food, and you know that's where you're probably gonna find this stuff. Okay, but again, most Mexicans will just make their own pasta sauce If they don't know how, they can just go on YouTube and find the recipe. But again, sometimes we do buy a jar of ragu or pasta. Okay, what I was going to say is that in the USA, they'll have like a whole giant section of pasta sauces, and they got so many variations of it. The one thing you're going to find when you're in another country, like let's say Mexico, you're going to find just like 3 jars of ragu, or 3, or they'll have like traditional or meat or mushrooms or whatever, and that's it, So that's it. So, but yeah, I don't know what part of Mexico you're at that they have, $30, pasta sauce. That's pretty crazy. Hey, Moni, if you want to know more about living in Mexico, you should go check out my channel about living in Mexico. That's not what we're doing here. This is a channel where we're just, talking about my thoughts, okay, and what I look at, when it comes to the world, all right? DB Goodman, pardon slowly. Yeah, anyways, no worries. By the way, no one is insulting me out here. Again, I apologize if I might seem a little, aggressive, but I'm not insulted, or I'm not mad, or I'm not anything, I'm just trying to keep the show on the rails here, all right? They're already off the rails enough, all right? So Soy Gringo, again, you want to know more about that kind of stuff, you can ask me on my other channel. But, you know what? I'm probably not going to be talking too much on the other channel about that, but I guess I'll answer it here real quick. So he says, what do I think about the potential incoming administration in Mexico? How will AMLO's investment into the country play out? Listen, the way I see it is this: we're going to see AMLO is part of the Morena party, and we're just going to see the Morena party win out again. Okay, Mexican politics is a little bit different, a lot different than in the USA, but it's not that different. But again, it doesn't really matter, because in a country like Mexico, the federal government isn't really what's running the show. What's running the show out here, again, it's everything we were just talking about in today's video, which is small communities. People govern themselves out here. All right. And if there's any real governing body out there, it's the cartel. And the cartel is just business. They're not out there trying to fuck with people, make them pay taxes or follow laws or rules or regulations. That's why more people care, to give cartel power, than the government. So really, it doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? And so again, a lot of people out there, they consider AMLO or, even that party, a cartel party. Because they're more laxed or relaxed. And, what do they do with a lot of the investments that the U.S. gives them? A lot of the money that comes from abroad? They put it in their own pocket. But the people are used to that already. That's why they do their own thing. Now, what are they doing now with some of these newer governments, with the Morena party and then, and going forward? Yeah, they're trying to invest in Mexico. They're trying to, again, win votes. They're trying to get people to have trust in the government. And how are they going to do that? Or how are they doing that? Well, they're doing that by, doing government things. Hey, we're going to fix some roads. Hey, we're going to make this and that. Hey, we're going to do that. But at the end of the day, people out here, they run on a different wavelength, okay? And then I really the federal government doesn't have the power it does in the USA, okay? So Joker's Wild says, do you think Cuba will transition out of communism into a capitalist system one day? I hope so, but I have no idea. I really have no clue or idea, because Fidel, as a Cuban, great question. As a Cuban, I actually seen as a Cuban, I understood, why some Cubans would hold Fidel, Castro, would hold, the whole kind of idea of communism, near and dear, and protect it no matter what, even though it's horrible and the people are starving out there. Why they would protect that ideology. I would get it. I kind of get it. It's anti-imperialist, empire, whatever. But they were really kind of keeping all that together, holding it all together, because of Fidel Castro, him being such a polarizing and strong figure, okay? But ever since his death, ever since his brother's death, and ever since they've now had, regular elections and they got a president in power now, I don't know why it's still in power. You know what I mean? I don't know why they still continue, having that system in place. But when again, when you kind of like analyze it from the same thing, everything I was just telling you right now about the USA, about the first world, the reality is that in order for the people to change that government, in order for the people to get rid of the communist government in Cuba, they would have to revolt. They would have to have a revolution. And they've tried to do that ever since Fidel has fallen, or died or whatever. They've tried to do that, but it's very, very difficult to do that when the population is unarmed. Again, there's no weapons in Cuba except for what the military has. So it's very hard, to defeat a militarized government that has, guns, and all you have are sticks and stones. Okay? Sticks and stones are not going to break anyone's bones. All right? And definitely words are not going to hurt them either. All right? So that's just the reality of it. Again, that's why, they're always trying to take your guns and do all that shit. Okay? Because, well, you know what I mean? Well, that's how they can really stay in control. All right? But that's another story for another day. All right? And we'll talk about that in another episode maybe in the future, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, no, I mean, unless there's a revolution or a revolt, and I'm talking about, Cuba, USA, Canada, many countries in Europe, and it's like a really, really, bloody, revolution, revolt, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. Why are things the way they are in Mexico and in other countries? Because they shed blood when they have to. Okay? That's why. All right? It's as simple as that. So, that's right. Freedom does not come cheap. Freedom is not free. So, all right, guys. I think that's, I'm going to wrap it up because I got things to do. All right? I actually have an event later tonight I got to get to, with the wife. And, this is why we did the shows a little earlier today. We might, keep this schedule going forward. Next Thursday, I'm also going to be busy, but I'm still going to, we're still going to be here and keep a, earlier schedule and all that good stuff. But anyways, I got to run. I got to get out of here. I think today's episode has gone long enough. I think, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It seems like you have, from the poll, since like most of you guys enjoyed it. And with that being said, you already know the deal, guys. I really, 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 really hope you enjoyed it. The show. Shout out to Baron Von Crunch for the $10 super chat, $10 Cash App. Shout out to John, no last name, for the $10 on PayPal. And shout out to everyone out there that's supporting the show, even if you're just, giving a like or a share or interacting or watching. I really, 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 really appreciate you guys. And again, please, if you guys have anything you guys want me to talk about in particular going forward, and again, I'm trying to keep it comedy. And hopefully you guys were at least laughing today a little bit. I know we were a little bit more serious today. Not the route I want to go down. But regardless, please let me know down below in the comments. Let me know what you guys, think, whether you like the show or not. Let me know also, if you have any suggestions going forward, things that you might want me to talk about, whatever it is. It could be anything. All right. We could talk about farming in virtual universe, whatever. All right. Anything is, nothing is off the table. All right. So please, help me help you. All right. In a sense, no, but really, it'd be great, to just get, what's, what is it? To read what's on your mind. All right. Whatever suggestions you have, whether I take them or not, it doesn't matter. I want to hear from you. I always want to hear from you. You guys already know. I'm always interacting with you guys as well in the comment section, not just in the chat, and so on and so forth. So, all right, guys, I got to run. I got to get out of here. Again, remember, you can always listen to this on Spotify. You can listen to my other show on the other channel on Spotify as well. And so on and so forth. But, with all that being said, I got to run. I got to get out of here. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. You already know the deal. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon. But more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Thanks again for watching. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.